Tired of your compost bin smelling like a garbage dump? Are you wondering why your compost isn't turning into rich black gold? In this video, I'm sharing the 3 biggest compost mistakes that are holding you back and how to fix them fast. Alright, let's talk about our first big mistake, and it's one I see all the time. It's getting a little too excited with all those kitchen scraps, the coffee grounds, the fruit peels, the vegetable ends. We call these our greens, and they're packed with nitrogen. In the story of compost, nitrogen is the fuel. It's what gets the whole process fired up and moving. It's the energy, the spark that ignites the decomposition. It's a vital part of the recipe, and it feels so good to be putting those scraps to good use instead of just tossing them out. But here's where we can get into a little trouble. When you have too much of a good thing, it can throw the whole system out of balance. Imagine a fireplace with too much kindling and not enough logs. It burns hot and fast and then fizzles out. An overabundance of nitrogen-rich greens in your compost pile does something similar. It creates a dense, wet, and often very smelly situation. That unpleasant, ammonia-like odor is a cry for help from your compost. It's telling you that it's out of balance and struggling to break down properly. This nitrogen-heavy environment doesn't just smell bad, it actually slows down the beautiful process of decomposition we're aiming for. The microorganisms that do the heavy lifting get overwhelmed. It can also become a magnet for unwanted visitors like flies and other pests, who are drawn to the scent of decay. It's not the thriving, earthy ecosystem we're trying to build. It feels more like a problem than a solution. And that's the last thing we want when we're trying to connect with our garden in a positive way. So, how do we fix it? We introduce the other half of our story, the browns. These are our carbon-rich materials. Think of things like dried leaves, straw, shredded cardboard, or wood chips. If the greens are the fuel, the browns are the structure. They are the sturdy logs in our fire that provide long-lasting energy and, just as importantly, create air pockets. They balance out the moisture from the greens and give those hard-working microorganisms the space and the carbon they need to thrive and do their job efficiently. The key is finding that perfect harmony, that perfect ratio. A good rule of thumb to start with is a 2-to-1 ratio of browns to greens. So, for every 1 bucket of kitchen scraps you add, try to add 2 buckets of dried leaves or shredded paper. Think of it like layering a lasagna, a layer of greens, then a nice generous layer of browns. This balance is what transforms a stinky mess into a healthy, happy, and incredibly productive compost pile. It's about creating a recipe for success right from the start. Now let's move on to our second common hurdle, moisture. Just like any living thing, your compost pile needs water to survive and thrive. The millions of tiny microbes that are working tirelessly to break down all that organic matter can't do their job in a desert. Water is the medium through which they travel, eat, and reproduce. Without it, the whole system just grinds to a halt. It's the lifeblood of the pile, the essential element that keeps the transformation moving forward. One of the biggest signs that your compost is too dry is that, well, nothing is happening. You might add your materials, you might have the right ratio of greens and browns, but the pile just sits there. It doesn't heat up, and it doesn't shrink down. It looks pretty much the same week after week. It's like a project that's been put on pause indefinitely. When you dig into it, it feels dusty and lifeless. It's a dormant pile, waiting for the right conditions to awaken. This lack of moisture means the core of your pile will never reach the ideal temperatures needed for rapid decomposition. That wonderful heat you feel in an active pile is a sign that the microbes are hard at work, and a dry pile just won't generate it. It's a frustrating place to be because you feel like you're doing everything right, but you're missing this one critical ingredient. It's the difference between a static heap of yard waste and a dynamic living ecosystem that's actively creating beautiful soil. The good news is, this is one of the easiest things to check and fix. The test is simple and wonderfully hands-on. Just reach in and grab a handful of your compost material. Give it a good squeeze in your palm. What you're looking for is the consistency of a wrung-out sponge. It should feel damp to the touch, and maybe 1 or 2 drops of water will squeeze out, but it shouldn't be dripping wet or dusty dry. That's the sweet spot. That's the perfect level of moisture to keep those microbes happy. If you squeeze and it feels dry and crumbly, it's time to give your pile a drink. The best way to do this is with a watering can or a gentle spray from a hose. Try to water it as you're turning it, which we'll talk about next, to make sure the moisture gets distributed evenly throughout the pile and not just on the surface. Check it every week or 2, especially during hot, dry weather. Keeping that moisture consistent is the key to keeping the magic of decomposition active and turning those scraps into gold for your garden. Our third and final mistake is one that's easy to overlook because it's invisible. We're talking about air. Just like us, the beneficial microorganisms in our compost pile are aerobic, meaning they need oxygen to live and work efficiently. When a compost pile becomes too dense and compacted, those little pockets of air disappear. The pile can't breathe. This creates what's called an anaerobic environment, and that's when a whole different, less desirable set of microbes takes over. These anaerobic microbes are the culprits behind that really foul, sulfurous, rotten egg smell. It's a very distinct and unpleasant odor that tells you your pile is suffocating. In an anaerobic environment, decomposition slows to a crawl. Instead of breaking down into beautiful, crumbly humus, the material turns into a slimy, sludgy mess. It's a sign that the life-giving process has been replaced by a process of putrefaction. It's not the healthy, vibrant system we want to be cultivating for our gardens. Think about it like a packed suitcase. If you just keep shoving things in without any thought, it becomes a dense, disorganized block. Nothing has room to move. Your compost pile is the same. If you just dump your materials in and never give them a chance to mix and aerate, the pile will compact under its own weight, especially at the bottom. The materials mat together, cutting off the oxygen supply and creating those dreaded anaerobic conditions that we want to avoid. The solution is wonderfully simple, and honestly, it's a great bit of exercise. You need to turn your compost pile. This just means mixing it up. You can use a pitchfork, a shovel, or a special compost aerator tool. The goal is to move the material from the outside of the pile to the inside and from the bottom to the top. This does two amazing things. First, it fluffs everything up, reintroducing those vital air channels. Second, it ensures that all the material gets a turn in the hot center of the pile, which leads to a much faster and more even decomposition. How often should you turn it? A good goal is about once every week or two. It doesn't have to be a huge chore. Just a few minutes of turning can make a world of difference. You can also help things along by choosing a bin with good ventilation or even building your pile with some bulky materials like sticks at the bottom to create natural air passages. Giving your compost the space to breathe is the final key to unlocking its full potential and ensuring you get that rich, earthy, wonderful result every single time. So, there you have it. It really comes down to those three simple things: the right balance of greens and browns, the right amount of moisture, and plenty of air. Composting isn't about being perfect, it's about being attentive. It's about building a relationship with this little ecosystem you've created and learning to read the signs it's giving you. When you get that balance right, you're not just making soil, you're participating in one of nature's most beautiful cycles of renewal. There's such a deep satisfaction in that. Taking something that would have been waste and transforming it, with just a little bit of care, into something that will nourish your garden and help new life grow. That's a beautiful story. It's a reminder that with a little intention and effort, we can create value and beauty where there was none before. I hope this helps you look at your own compost pile with fresh eyes and a renewed sense of purpose. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, to experiment, and to find the rhythm that works for you. Every garden has a story, and a healthy compost pile is the perfect beginning. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It means the world to be able to share this journey with you. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great tips.